Italy, home of some of the most magnificent mountains, gorgeous stunning peaks, and incredible hikes that the world has to offer. It's surely a bucket list item for me to be able to get over to Europe someday to do some of these Italian hikes. And when I do this, I'll be very happy to be wearing these Alico Summit Italian-made boots. In this video, I'll be doing an out-of-box review explaining why the materials and construction choices made in these traditional hiking boots were of interest to me. I'll give my initial impressions of fit and finish as the boots were out of box, how they fit on my feet, initial break-in with about a week of time on my feet, and what my expectations are moving forward in these traditional Italian hiking boots. First, let's talk about the Alico brand and how this boot, the Summit, is fit in their overall line. Now, unfortunately, there just isn't a lot of information on Alico available online, so I don't have a lot to tell you other than they are apparently a true Italian maker. Alico produces a variety of hiking boots, and the Summits are more in their traditional line with the Tahos and the new guides, kind of in the middle. The Tahos feature a cloth lining and a synthetic waterproofing layer, and the new guides are true mountaineering boots, super overbuilt. They just look insane to wear for anything other than true mountaineering. Alico Summits are available for Americans at SierraTradingPost.com, and Sierra Trading Post graciously sent me these boots for review and to keep, and I'm very glad to see that on their website they have a very long list of details of specifications and details about the construction so that you could make a very informed purchase were you to be interested in these boots. Let's go through them bit by bit. Now, what you'll notice principally in this pair of boots is the incredible use of a single piece of leather for the upper. This is a very traditional technique to ensure an extremely solid construction. These boots feature a full grain leather upper, and I've talked about the importance of full grain leather in previous videos. It's the highest quality leather that's available for these kind of boots. It's going to ensure that they have a lot of depth of grain, and they're also going to be the highest quality leather as far as the composition of the leather is concerned. So full grain leather, that's very important. The Summits feature a fully gusseted and reinforced tongue, two features that are excellent to see and a very important part of the boot. The gusseting, of course, ensures that debris won't get into the boot, and the reinforcement ensures that this very high wear area will able to be maintained. The leather used in the reinforcement is the same as used in the rest of the upper of the boot. The Summits utilize a combination of D-ring and quick tie eyelets, and my initial impression of these eyelets is that they're all very sturdy, although certainly not overbuilt by some hiking boot standards. They're definitely serviceable and are the kind of things that I expect will be reliable. In the heels of the boot, we have an extra piece of leather for reinforcement, another high wear area that I'm glad to see is reinforced. And then, of course, we have these impressive traditional Vibram outsoles, which are fully serviceable. One of the ways in which the Summits are true traditional hiking boots is they have a fully leather-lined interior, which is basically totally seamless. Complete absence of hot spots is going to be very important for long hikes. We see a seam running down midway of the inside of the boot, and the tongue itself is also seamless, and the only markings on the inside of the boot are the size, in my case 12 medium, and these boots are in fact true to size for me. Another one of the true highlights of these boots is the traditional Norwegian Welt construction, and there's a lot to talk about with the Norwegian Welt, so I'm going to take a little time to break that down. Now, despite its namesake, the Norwegian Welt is actually an Italian stitch, and it's a traditional waterproofing stitch, but it's also a proof of the virtuosity of the maker. It is a welt that's flush with the sole and the upper. It's completely on the outside of the boot, unlike, say, the Goodyear Welt, which is only partially outside, and features two rows of stitching connecting the leather to the insole and to the outsole respectively. It's waterproof because the channel of the leather doesn't lead inside the boot, it stays on the outside. So not only is it a very robust multiple layered stitch construction, it's also as waterproof as the traditional welt construction is going to allow. Now, the Norwegian Welt, like the Goodyear Welt and other welts I've discussed on this channel, are fully serviceable or recraftable. See, in a pair of hiking boots, this feature is going to be very important. It's going to take a considerable investment of your time and hopefully great experiences breaking these boots in, and it's probably going to be true that you're going to need to replace the outsoles before the life of the boot is actually fully exhausted. A good cobbler should be able to replace those outsoles for a reasonable price, and you'll have your beloved hiking boots that will hopefully provide you with decades of service. Now, someone used to more modern, lightweight synthetic hiking boots might be concerned about the weight of these boots, considering the heavy rubber outsole and the use of leather in the upper, and I want to put those concerns to rest. What we have here is a pair of Red Wing Iron Rangers, another pair of traditionally constructed boots that I've reviewed on the channel, which don't feature as many layers of construction as the Alico Summits. Now, in fact, although the Iron Rangers are a lot simpler in construction, they only weigh 3 ounces less compared to the Alicos. Because Red Wings are kind of a benchmark for quality, I want to just comment that I think the leather used in the Iron Rangers is of a slightly nicer variety, even though they're both full grain. But I have to say that the stitching seems to be right on par, maybe even with the edge of the Alicos, which are very cleanly stitched. Since I'm comparing boots, let's also compare these Alico Summits to the Danner High Grounds to touch on some other points. Now, obviously these Danner boots are built for an entirely different purpose. These are hunting boots, and they feature a totally different style of construction with a glued-in outsole and the use of a combination of leather and synthetic materials in the upper. I have these Danner High Grounds really for a very specialized purpose for deer hunting, and I don't wear them very regularly. If I was wearing boots like these Danners more regularly, I would be very concerned because once the outsoles are worn out, they're not serviceable. However, they are waterproof in a very thorough way that the Summits can only approach by the use of a careful application of waterproofing materials, thanks to that Gore-Tex liner in the Danners. And of course, they're very lightweight with the synthetic materials coming in at under 4 pounds, and that's for a 10-inch boot. So the Danners are definitely a choice for someone who values modern materials, although in my opinion, the Alicos will be serviceable for a much longer period of time. These boots and traditional hiking boots in general are an investment, not just because of the $200 you'll have to shell out for these boots, but also because break-in is fairly tedious and takes some time. As you can see, there really isn't any point in the toe box for natural flex. That's just going to happen over time. I would estimate that it's going to take me at least a couple months to break them in. Wearing them around because they're correctly fitted and they're decently lightweight, I didn't feel like they were painful in any way. They just required a little bit of a different stride and were the sort of things that felt like they were just going to take some time to get used to, and even more time to really break in properly. Of course, the all-leather construction is going to demand regular maintenance. As you can see, these boots will get scuffed up after even about a week of wear pretty easily, and that level of maintenance and waterproofing is going to reward your ownership over time. Overall, I didn't really find a lot of imperfections in the leather. There was one little mark in the left boot on the toe that I'm showing you here that was definitely an imperfection of the leather, but overall I'm definitely happy with the quality of the leather of these boots, and I expect they're the kind of leather that you'll be able to maintain for a very long time without issues. What's going to sum up my impression of these Alico Summits out of box is that the pros are the impeccable construction. It has a ton of great reviews, so I expect they're going to be very reliable, so I definitely am going to wear them with confidence. They just have all the right stuff in a classic style. As far as cons go, there's going to be a long break-in time, there's going to be a certain commitment required for maintenance, and the idea that you're going to have to just be attentive to waterproofing the boots to ensure that that leather is never damaged. Personally, I'm loving these old school Italian hiking boots. They're going to provide me with years of enjoyment. I think that they look beautiful, and I expect them to function beautifully over a long period of time, and I'm going to be happy to give you regular updates on the channel. That's great when I have a quality product that I'm going to be able to do that with. What kind of boots do you wear on your hikes? Are traditional styles of hiking boots something that you're interested in, or have you found that they work for your hiking needs? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks a lot for your time.